today I wanted to talk about some interesting things about Japan that really maybe you kind of learn only from living here for a while or things like that. So here's some interesting things that you may not have known. One is Japanese websites. Japanese websites are interesting and are notorious for being difficult to use, difficult to read, and outdated. Now, the design is different on its own of websites, and that's fine in some respects, but a lot of the times you'll find that anytime you have to do something online, you instantly just kind of sigh. You like, oh, how do I do this form? It's, oh, well, there's a website that you need to go to, and you instantly a website. So yeah. Anytime I have to do anything involving websites in Japan or apps or anything like that, my favorite word is mendokusai, which means like it's a lot of effort. So it's just like, mendokusai, yeah. That's how I feel about Japanese websites. Alright, another really interesting thing about Japan is that Japanese schools are completely 100% totally different from American schools or maybe Western schools in general. I don't know too much about other Western country schools. I can only speak on behalf of America, but the schools in Japan. So, for example, one, everybody wears uniforms. Everybody has to have a natural hair color, and you're not allowed to have certain haircuts or anything like that. Girls are not allowed to wear makeup, no piercings, no dyed hair, no anything really. And so with the uniforms and the mask, and the same hairstyles and the no makeup, a lot of people tend to look really similar. And whenever I'm working in schools, it's really difficult sometimes to remember who's who, because I mean everybody has the same haircut, everybody has the same uniform, and everybody's wearing the same mask usually. So it's pretty tough. But aside from that, some other differences are just the discipline aspect of school life. For example, when students need to return something to the teacher's room or they need to speak with the teacher, they have to come to the teacher's room. But before they can come inside, they have to stand on a little taped line and they have to request permission to enter. And they stand like at attention about, and they say like, oh, this is, my name is so-and-so, I'm in this grade and I'm requesting permission to speak with so-and-so sensei. And then the other teacher will say, oh, hi, dozo, like, yes, come in. And then they can do whatever it is they need to do. And then, when they leave, they have to go back on that line, and they have to end it with their, shireshimashita, which is like a thank you for, it doesn't really have an English translation that clearly, but it means like a thank you for granting me permission to speak to you or something like that, or excuse me for leaving. Also in Japanese schools, the school lunch, which is extremely delicious and well made, by the way, but also the students actually serve the school lunch to each other. So somebody, an employee, a lunch person, cooks the food, and then they prepare it into these little metal bins, which is very similar to the military, where you have your field rations, and like when you're training in the field and you have to, they put them in these green bins, and then the soldiers serve them to each other. And it's kind of the same thing. The students, they serve to the other students, which is really interesting. So very similar to that, they when they have something like a sports day, they have the students stand outside in, I swear to you not, in battalion style formations, just like in the military. And they hold their big flags, which are in the military we would call like guidons, which are your big like company flags here, and they have the person in front holding their flag. And the Japanese schools, they do this too. And then each time, like for example, in the military, you have the flag, and then they'd say something, and each one will have a motto or something. They'll say, "Oh, bravo company, attention." And they'll say, "Oh, strike first," or I don't know, I'm just making that up. But they'll say something like that. In the schools, they do the same thing. They'll say like, "Oh, third grade students first year," and then they'll say like, "Oh, bonsai," or something. It's really interesting. It's extremely similar to the military. And then after that, for the sports days, they'll start, and then they'll do like exercise, and immediately I noticed that the schools were almost exactly like extremely similar to just normal kind of everyday life in the military, which I found odd, but I don't necessarily consider it a bad thing. There are some respects where I think it smashes a little bit of creativity and individuality, but at the same time, the discipline in Japanese schools is unparalleled. They're not scared of teachers, they don't live in fear, but there's a definite line of respect, which I think is really nice. And in a classroom, the students they're never unruly, they're never difficult to handle. It's you know, if they're being loud, you just excuse me, you know, be quiet, and instantly everybody just is quiet. It's really simple. Like there's so much discipline. It's unique. Lastly, something about Japan you may not have known. Maybe this is a little bit niche, maybe not, I don't know. But 2000s style emo music is alive and well in Japan. What I mean by that is the sort of, so I'm 28, and anybody who's around my age is probably familiar with the 2000s era style emo music. You know, the Hawthorne Heights, Census Fail, Thursday, things like that. And for a lot of us, that was a style of music that we just really loved, and we never stopped loving, and even to this day, we still listen to it all the time. Well, in Japan, that style of music, it never died. There's still bands every day making new emo songs and different kind of rock songs of that nature. I can't. This is where I would usually play a clip of a bunch of different music and then compare them side by side with American emo music so that you can see the similarities. But honestly, posting, you know, a bunch of different music videos and comparing them from two different countries of all these different songs sounds like a copyright nightmare. So I'm not going to go down that road. But what I'll do is I'll post links to 5 or so songs, Japanese songs that I think are Japanese emo songs, and you can listen to them and see for yourself, and then now you can enter that same rabbit hole of trying to find these Japanese emo songs that are, you know, coming out every day, so that you can go right back to where you started with listening to your 2000s emo, but in 2020. So that was a short list of some interesting things about Japan that maybe you didn't know. If anything surprised you, put it down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, Jane.